It's Young Classics 2008. It's Alex Belfield talking to the big stars of classical music. And I've got a new big star for you now. And the word I keep hearing is crossover. Crossover.
No.
But you're not crossover. Sophie
not.
Cashell, thank you very much for talking to me.
No, thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm great.
You're
Good.
young, you're delicious, you're talented. You've got everything, haven't you?
I'm not sure about that. I do my best.
You just won the BBC Two Young Musician Award thing last year.
Yeah.
And that really just launched your career. You seem to put personality into it. I don't know, is that possible?
Oh, definitely. I think the performers that you love to hear are the ones who manage to get their personality to mingle with the composers and not to distract or detract anything from it. And that's what I hope to do, is to kind of put my stamp on it, but not in any way destroying what someone else, the composer, actually wanted.
How do you get to stand out? Because these are old songs that were written hundreds of years ago. A lot of other people have played them, yet you've got the album.
Oh, well, I think that's a combination of luck and, I don't know, again, hard work. But yeah, again, playing things that people have played in the past is always difficult because you don't want to just do exactly what other people have done. But I guess it's like doing a cover of a song. You do it in your own way and people will hopefully like it and buy into what you're saying and really trying to communicate.
Is it for you about the emotion of the piece? Is it the more you love it, the better you'll play it?
Quite often I think it is, if you really connect with something first, when you just listen and think, yeah, I can understand where it's going, then I think you do communicate it better. But then again, there are things that you listen to first and think, oh, don't know if I'd be willing to do that, and then after a few lessons or a few years of just kind of having it in the background, it eventually comes into its own and you really can work with it.
You're still very young. How old are you now?
I just turned 20.
And the word child prodigy always springs up when you hear your name.
Not quite a child anymore, but yeah.
But I mean, when you started, you must have been. I mean, were you very good in the beginning? Did you pick it up very quickly, or was there suddenly a moment where you woke up and you were 15 and there you were, amazing?
No, I don't think so. I think since I was little, I was always working and always doing concerts and things. So, and you just get used to it. And because you've started so young, you do have an advantage over someone who starts when they're 10, let's say, and then is suddenly trying to play well. Or even if you're older, classical music is hard to kind of pick up when you're older. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it, because it's fantastic and you can get so much out of it. But to be a professional, you kind of need to start very young.
I was in the music class at school, GCSE, and we're all odd. I got to be honest with you. Everybody in that group was odd and a bit funny and stuck out, and the oddballs. Is it easier being female and being slim and gorgeous? Does that help fit in when you're a pianist?
Oh, I don't think so. I think most of the pianists that are performing today are male, predominantly. There are a few amazing young females, but I don't think it's an advantage. I don't think it gives you a head start. I think you have to be able to play, otherwise you won't get a chance. What
were you like at school? Were you normal, or did you stand out because you had this gift?
Well, you see, I went to a strange school. I went to a music school, so I didn't stand out at all because we were all, in it together. But I did go to a normal school before that, and I don't think I stuck out. Maybe I did and I didn't know, but I mean, all my friends were great about it and they thought it was really exciting that I went off and did things randomly and played concerts. And when you turn up at that music school, were you always exceptional? Modesty aside, were the teachers always interested to hear you play more than everybody else? No, I think in the school, it was called the Yehudi Menyon School, and I think in that school pretty much everyone is ridiculously talented. So I think everyone has their own favourites and own, personal touches that certain teachers might like and certain teachers might not like. So I think there's never going to be a star, let's say, of the school, because it's trying to promote it as a family atmosphere. But in reality, that's all very nice and good. But in reality, there's going to be those who are better than others and those who just have a natural gift and are going to do it for life. There are those who are going to go and work in Tesco's, aren't there? I guess so, but you don't know if you don't try, so... Yeah. And when you woke up one morning when you were a kid and you thought, oh, there's a piano, I want to play it, how did that happen that you got interested in the piano? Do you remember why you're sat here today talking to me about this new album? I do. Well, my sister is actually a violinist and she's the eldest in I've got there's four of us in my family, young siblings, and my sister wanted to play the violin, so my parents kind of said, okay, we'll take you to lessons. And then because she showed some talent and she wanted to do it, then all of us got the same chance. So I actually started with violin, but played piano as well, and then chose piano because I preferred it. So.
And is that just an instinct? You just really like the piano more than the violin? How do you know that? I'm curious to find out that psychology.
Well, I just hated practicing violin. I don't know why. I just took an instant dislike to it. So every time I had to practice, it was just a nightmare of me screaming, I don't want to do it, can I give up, please? Whereas with piano, I didn't quite have as much hatred of it, and then it just grew, because obviously when you're very small, you're not going to absolutely adore spending hours at a piano, getting scales right or anything, but it did just appeal to me somehow. So.
And how did you start then? Did you start by just having fun with the piano, or was it all about the scales and the training and the academia side of it?
No, a combination. I mean, because you're not going to keep it going if you have to just do scales, but you have to do a little bit of that to keep your fingers active and work. But mostly just a combination of fun and work.
And then when was the first opportunity you had to perform in front of the public where you realised that they were interested to listen to you?
I really don't remember my first, big debut as like a 5-year-old. I don't think there was one. I did a few competitions, and I think from then I always seemed to do well, and that led to concerts, and it does make you realise, actually maybe people think I've got something to say, and I feel like I do, so it's happy. Everyone's happy. I think my favourite piece on it is the second ballad by Liszt, which is about the story of Hero and Lysander, where he used to swim across the sea and professes love for her and eventually dies in the middle of it, which is all very depressing, but it makes amazing music, and you can hear the sea and you can actually hear the point where he dies, and it's very evocative, and I really love that. But also there's a track on it by an Irish composer who I met when I was about 10 or 11 and got on very well with, and it really reminds me of home. It's very cheesy but lovely and exciting to play, so I love that one as well.
We're here today with Sophie Cashell. Her new CD is in the stores now. It's called Debut, and it's just fabulous. And it's not a crossover, it's proper classical music. We're back with Sophie Cashell on your favourite local radio station. It's Alex Belfield talking to the big stars of classical music, and particularly the young stars, and that's so important to make it accessible. I don't know how many kids are playing the piano these days. In the old days, my parents tell me that their parents always had a piano in the front room. Yeah. That doesn't happen now, does it?
No,
we have Game Boys
so
and computers.
Wow. Yeah, but I have... In my experience, there's a lot of young people out there who, again, want some kind of role model who is young and that they can kind of see. And it's amazing at some of my concerts, like people who come backstage afterwards are these little girls who just are really excited by piano. And I just think that's fantastic that, they come to concerts and are really fired up and want to go and make music. Because, as you said, it's becoming less accessible, and hopefully my job will make it a bit more accessible. I don't know. And
let's talk about the pianos you play, because it does make a difference.
Yes.
If you're playing your electronic keyboard, it is not going to be the same as playing a beautiful
grand piano. Yeah.
Exactly. What's your favourite? Have you got your dream piano yet, or are you still waiting to buy it?
Oh, I have not bought a piano because they're very expensive, but I have a company called Bechstein who sponsor me, who are fantastic, and they lend me a piano to practice on, which is very kind of them, because otherwise I would be stuck in my college queuing up every morning, as I still do occasionally, but it's very, very hard to get practice rooms because all the pianists are dying to practice. But yeah, I love Bechsteins, and then of course there are Steinways and Faziolis and all these amazing makes, but they do cost a fortune.
And does it make a difference to you, the feel of the piano and the sound you get from it?
Definitely. There are some pianos that you sit down at and immediately you feel like you're, making a nice sound. It's really juicy and singing, whereas there are some that you sit down and you think, oh no, I have to work so hard. Like either the mechanism is really heavy, so your fingers are tired out by the end of it, or it's really light, so you touch it and it makes a huge sound, and so it's really hard to get an even sound. So there's so many difficulties, and that's the problem with being a pianist, is that you can't carry your instrument around with you. You have to just turn up.
And help me with being a girl and so cute and little. How much pressure is there on your fingers? Because they're doing a lot. Do you get strain, or...?
The only time I've ever had a problem was when I had whiplash, and that was just because the vertebrae in my neck came out of place and squished the nerves, and then I started getting really bad pains in my hands because I didn't realise I had whiplash because I didn't have a crash, actually.
So how did it happen then?
It was just so weird. The car swerved to avoid a different car, and I was just thrown against my seatbelt, and so the vertebrae came out of my neck. But
I can smell compensation claim coming
No,
here. I'll
no.
help you with it. No, come on, we could get 10 grand. We'll be able to buy that brand new piano you got your eye on.
I wish. But no, they were lovely. They paid for all my what's a therapy kind of thing. But no, I think mostly your hands, if you're playing in the right way, you shouldn't get any pain at all, because it's coming from your back, like really low down in your back, all the way up and through your arms and through your shoulders and everything. So your hands should just be an extension of that, rather than starting everything in your hands, and you would get massive tension, massive pain. But hopefully that won't happen to me.
And what about long showbiz nails? Can we have those when you're a top pianist?
Well, as you can see, maybe not the listeners, but my nails are non-existent, and that is just because if you play and all you hear is like, I don't know if you can hear that, but click. So yeah, we don't really want that. No, I think people would prefer to hear the music rather than my nails.
It's distracting.
Yeah.
And as for you playing, would you rather have a band behind you, an orchestra behind you, or is it nice just to play alone? Because I love to hear just the piano.
Yeah, both are equally thrilling. I mean, as a solo pianist, you have so much more pressure because you're taking the full concentration of every member of the audience, you hope anyway, and you have to deal with that and make what you're doing so exciting. I mean, it is the same as a soloist with an orchestra, but you have all this support kind of urging you along. So for me, it's sometimes more relaxing to play with an orchestra, although you've still got the same excitement, but it is easier because you've got all this support.
Are you a mover, or are you one of those pianists that just sits and plays and lets the hands do the talking?
I don't know, to be honest, because I haven't watched myself so much because I'm just there in the moment. I don't think I just sit there and don't move anything but my hands, because that would be quite strange. But I definitely give all of my body into it, but try not to do silly things like, I don't know.
And as for your friends, how are they feeling about you now? You're the one with the CD, you're the one that's winning all the awards. With your talent, how do they view you now?
Oh, all my friends are really supportive, and I listen to them, and I think they're just as good, if not, some of them are better. And it's just I have been extraordinarily lucky, but I'm sure that all of the friends I have who are musicians are equally good, and hopefully we'll get the same chance.
It's a funny point you make, isn't it? Because I spoke to lots of performers who say, I'm not the best singer, I'm not the best pianist, I'm not the best dancer, I'm not the best whatever, but they've just got something. Have you managed to put your finger on what it is that makes people want to watch you?
I don't know, completely honestly, but some people do say that they just love it because I enjoy it so much. And I think that is really important, because if you're watching someone on stage who is making beautiful music but isn't really just going for it with all their might and all their ability, then I think that can be frustrating from an audience point of view. And I do just try and give it my all, and I don't know. I don't know what makes one person more listening, and the listening is more exciting than the other. But hopefully, people will listen to me.
You won the Best Star of the Year award last year, Best Young Person for the BBC, and I'm just wondering how good you are. I mean, could you sit down now with a full piece that you'd never seen? Oh,
that's an amazing skill. I think my sight reading is not the best in the world, I'd have to say, but I learn quite quickly. But it does. I want to have time to get the music, really in my head and in my fingers and everything. But I don't know. So people who can do that are really extraordinary, and it is. I think it's a completely separate skill in some ways. But some musicians can just do that. Yeah.
And when you play live, do you use the music, or is it all from memory?
No, it's from memory.
See, I can't do that. I don't understand. I've had to write your name down here on this piece of paper, look, just to remember. But I don't know how you start the thing, and then 10 minutes later you're still playing it, and you know where you are. That's incredible to me. Yeah.
Well, sometimes you don't, and that's a problem. But no, it's. I think it's like going on a journey. You start out, and it's like if you're driving somewhere, you're not going to in the middle kind of suddenly go, oh my goodness, where am I? I mean, you might if you get lost, and that's the same with music. If you get lost, if you do something slightly differently, you might get in a place where you've never been before, and you have to get back. But usually you're going on a journey, and you're not going to go off on a different route, hopefully.
You're signed to UCJ, who seem to have everybody now. Catherine Jenkins and Hayley Weston are the big people. I can see what's going to happen next is you're going to go on tour with one of these people playing for them, because that's so great, isn't it, to get two fantastic artists together.
Yeah.
Have you got any dreams of who you'd like to work with?
Well, I work a lot with my brother and sister who are fabulous musicians, and I love doing that because there's something so natural about it because we are all siblings, so that's really great, and I really love doing that. And apart from that, I have some fantastic, I love working with string players, so cello and violin. So I've got some other people that I love doing music with, playing music with. Yeah.
And what about the stars, though? Is there anybody you've got your eye on?
I don't know. My favourite pianist is actually dead, which is depressing. But Dina Lopati, who there are so many like that you would just love to play with. But yeah, I'm not sure. There's so many good musicians out there at the moment.
I don't know whether they do it in this country. I haven't seen it anywhere, but in Vegas, one of the things they love to do is jousting pianos in bars, where you have a pianist sat that way and then a pianist sat that way looking at each other. And then they do stuff together. I think that's an amazing thing. Why don't you do that? You could have a go. I'd do the bass line and you do all the rest, and then we'll both look fabulous. We could go on tour together. Sophie, really lovely to talk to you. Congratulations on this album. It is so nice to see somebody so young and good at what you do, sticking by your guns and doing what you do best, and not allowing yourself to have Queen tracks in there and things.
No, it wouldn't suit me. It's not what I want to do. So
there's no temptation there. Did they ask you to do that when you put this album together?
Well, at the beginning we had a little bit of toing and froing about what was going on. It was a greatest hits album, or was it? No. So yeah, but
they can't resist, can they?
Well, I guess they might as well try. But no, Universal were great and let me do what I wanted in the end. So.
Well, there's no crossover here. She's a proper pianist and brilliant at what you do, and it's a lovely CD. It's great for dinner parties and things like that. I mean, it's lovely to sit and listen to by yourself, but to have on in the background, there is something so soothing about someone who plays as well as you, and I don't understand how you do it, but you do it well. Let's take another track off this album. I've got 2 CDs. You can get one if you buy it in the stores now. It's called Debut by Sophie Cashell. What shall we play on the way out?
How about some Philip Martin?
Thank you very much for talking to me.